understand what you or African American people must be feeling. If somebody was oppressing the people, I can understand there'd be some heartache. However, things do get out of control. I think protests evolve, eventually ends in some sort of emotional outburst where somebody ends up getting hurt. They just had it recently.
I would say the radical.
Keep interrupting me, then I'm not going to.
Yeah, well, I guess I need to go to church, and then I won't be so rude. But I think the radical Christian tradition actually goes against what you're saying. The Christians who have decided that they wanted to change society and protest it and change different things. I think those are more important.
And then you like to make up lies to fill in the blank after you've interrupted somebody speaking. What I'm saying is that emotionalism eventually ends.
Now.
Emotionalism ends in somebody getting hurt. Now,
okay,
if we
hold on, because you say a lot of. Slow down. You decided that one side is emotional and acting on emotionalism, and then you said no matter what, protests evolve into the emotionalism.
Yes, I think all protests.
Why do you think you're setting these parameters that have nothing to do with reality?
I think protest is like a pill you take to make yourself feel better. That's what I think protest is. And I don't care if you're white. I don't care. Hey, Nas, check it out. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're black or Asian or German. Protest never ends pretty because it's a bunch of people trying to stand up for what they believe, and I get that. But there are other ways we can do it.
Let me ask you a question. Should the Christians of Rome simply just decided that they would allow Rome to do whatever they wanted to and wouldn't fight for their religious practice and wouldn't fight for a more just society? Do you think they should have just laid down and let happen whatever happened?
No. Okay, look, I'm going to quote you 2 Corinthians. Listen, 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Okay, we are in a protest. You're absolutely right. Christianity actually comes out of a protest. Listen, I'm trying to explain this to you, but you keep interrupting me.
No, because you're not explaining anything. You're just talking. I know you think you're delivering something that's very, very important, but really this is non-interesting, and I don't know where you're trying to go. Is there another person on this call?
What I'm saying is that if you want to fix
problems,
it can't be in emotionalism. It can't be in some sort of worldly
somebody
fight.
But you see, when refrigerator on a magnet.
When there are protests, what you have is one group trying to outshout the other, and that's when it starts to get nasty. That's what
a protest typically is.
Well, yeah, but hold on, man, because we have to think as logical people. Is the problem the people protesting or the action that caused the protest? You see what I mean? Like when you talk about things getting out of control, if there's a need for a lot of citizens to decide an issue is important enough to protest, that issue is what's gotten out of control. That issue is the problem. When we saw the Tea Party in the streets talking about the government had done certain things that weren't good for Americans, that wasn't a reason to say, oh, these people, we shouldn't listen to them, tell them to go home. No, you need to hear their grievances.
I think there are certain points in history, okay, like war, where when the bully pushes really hard, okay, and I agree, there has to be something done. I never said I disagree with or agree with the abuse that cops some of them are doing to people. Never said that. I think that those people should be punished and sent into prison. Okay? I'm right there along with lots of other white people who agree with that. But I am also saying that if we want to fix any of the world's problems, it can't come within emotionalism or action. It ends up in war, it ends up in destruction, and it typically ends with nobody change other than one side being victorious over another. Now, we're certainly thankful in some sense for that, right? We're thankful for the Revolutionary War. That was kind of a protest, right? Bullies came in, Britain. Americans didn't want us there, or want them there.
That was a definite protest. I mean, that's where it all began.
That was a big protest.
Taxation without representation. I mean, the bottom line. I mean, that was the first great protest, the Revolutionary War.
But this is a different situation entirely. This isn't the British invasion.
Different thing entirely.
Well, it's
different.
No. It's a different thing.
Quite different.
As far as in whose eyes is it a different thing? That's what you have to ask yourself.
It's a different war,
That's
dude.
the deep question. There you go. There's the deeper question.
In whose eyes?
We should just get our guns and blow each other's brains out then.
And he's not saying that either.
War.
No.
I know. That's really weird that you keep jumping to that as what you think the conclusion is.
When I said it's not the same war, you think that's hilarious.
I do.
Why? Why is it funny when I said it wasn't, when it was not a different,
well,
it's not the same?
Okay, you brought up the Revolutionary War. One of the first things listed was no taxation without representation.
Which is what I said.
If citizens, right. So if citizens aren't being adequately represented and are having their rights actually trampled upon, then yes, they have a right to protest. Yes, they have a right to seek, that their grievances be heard. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Hey, Naj,
and the people who do think something's wrong with that, I think they have a serious problem.
Naj, and don't forget, don't forget, who was one of the first people to be killed at the Boston Tea Party with taxation, again, no representation? It was Crispus Attucks, a free black man, who was demonstrating also.
Let's talk about that for a second, because Crispus Attucks, who was he killed by? The British, basically, version of the police force.
Oh, I'm sure he was
the police of that time that killed Crispus Attucks. And another, I guess, not well talked about thing, John Adams actually represented those British policemen, and got them off. So, there's a founding father document that nobody likes to talk about, but yeah, that was the original police force. So police brutality is as American as apple pie. Goes back to the founding.
He wasn't happy about doing it. Just like I'm sure there are many members of the ACLU who defend people who they really don't want to defend, but they feel they have a right to a defense, and that's what John Adams was doing. He just felt that the British were following certain orders, and if you're going to put anybody to blame, it's the British Army and not necessarily the individual soldiers who are the favorite line of every war. I'm just following orders. Okay, I'm just following
Great
orders.
Point. Great point. Yeah, couldn't agree more. On that. But yeah, man, I think it's really a problem where we spend more time trying to criticize the protester or whoever has whatever imperfect person that's going to come out and say that something wrong is going on, that we spend time picking them apart, being critical of them and not the actual issue.
Police
brutality was a major problem in America as far as what most people think. We could solve this thing in the next few months if we really were concerned with it.
Hey, Mark, realistically, all right, now you can listen to this if you want. Because I know that you don't agree on everything.
Of course he's going to listen.
You don't agree on everything, but I think we can agree on this, okay? I think we can agree that violence is bad, but here's what's happening with the protest. It's ending in more death. So my question to you now is, great, we're protesting. Bad police, naughty white people. They're getting also killed. Is that good or bad?
Well, actually, that shows how bad the police are. Now, the question is, will the country become unified enough to say, okay, we got to change this? The criminal justice system is flawed. The police are flawed, and we as a country have to decide that we want to change it.
I will say, being the father of an NYPD officer, okay, that nobody wants dishonest cops. I mean, I told my son before he even became a cop, I said, you're going to be faced with situations and you're going to have to answer to your conscience. I said, everybody has a camera. Everybody's got a phone. Okay. And people are watching every move you make. Okay. An honest cop has nothing to worry about and nothing to fear. It's the ones that are dishonest that give everybody else a bad name. And there are a lot of them. There are cops that managed. There are cops that made it through the academy who have no business being cops. Okay, and they do take advantage. What?
Mark. Okay, now I want you to say what you just said to the Dallas police who didn't do anything wrong but were still killed by that sniper.
I can't make out what you're saying.
I'm saying that was fine what you said. That's true. But what about the cops who are being killed who didn't do anything wrong? Like the cops in Dallas.
Yeah, this is what's called
that's
a false
okay.
equivalency. That moment in Dallas is something that happens every 3 or 4 decades. Like, that's not something that happens every day. If you go to Officer Down, I'm almost finished because I know more about this than you do. So just hold tight. If you go to Officer Down, which is a memorial page for the police force, there have been 37 policemen killed this year by gunfire. 37. That's the whole nation. It's more dangerous to be a deep-sea fisherman, more dangerous to work in lumber, much more dangerous jobs out there in this country. The idea that policemen are being killed wholesale is a media manipulation. The numbers don't actually. Of course it's bad. Like, dude, just hold on for a second. I know you don't know anything about this topic, but just let me finish. I promise. I'm just trying to inform you.
Eddie, you still there?
Like I said, 37 policemen. You can go to officerdownmemorial.com. That's the website that keeps track of it. It's a police website. They actually list canines. They list auto accidents. They list every way that policemen die and kind of give service to them and, hold them up and their families. So, of course, it's bad when a policeman who's just doing his job is attacked or ambushed by somebody. Of course, that's bad. But, like I said, that happens every few decades. That's not something that happens all of the time, like police are shooting normal citizens. And, yes, we're talking about thousands of white citizens and thousands of black citizens. And if you go to unarmed, the numbers are still appalling.
Right. And the problem is that we individualize the police who are abusing the system. And shame on the departments who are letting it go. I mean, there are stories where people did something terrible, like just a few years ago, a young black man was attacked by a couple white guys, a couple white cops, absolutely beat him to oblivion, and the department completely ignored it. That is the outcry. That is where justice needs to come in and attack that individual group of people, not demonize the police department, which is what's happening now.
Yeah, but that's the part you don't understand. That happens every day all across the country. This is not a few policemen. This is whole departments. Pull up that DOJ report for Baltimore and Ferguson and read into some of the things that they're doing, and you'll have a better grasp of it. But no, this is not some event, random event that happens every once in a while. This is every day across the country.
Hey, Nas, what's happening is what's being affected here, and this is the danger in this protest. And that's why I think there could be other ways than what we're doing.
No one's interested in your other ways. That's the part that you don't get. That's the part that you don't get. If you want to hold your Bible and pray and hope that things get better, you do that. Other people think that we actually have to do some work and make things happen to change. We should have changed how this country is handled.
Exactly what that.
In your opinion, and I think you would sit back with your Bible and allow the world to fall into chaos because you don't want to actually do anything. This is a
total. Eddie, you still on?
Yeah, please bring. Ed.
Come on, Ed.
Eddie.
The thing is, it's not just the police officer; it's the whole criminal justice system that needs revamp. We have over 2 million people locked up like animals, and most of them are there just for drug offenses. It's ridiculous.